Hey guys, welcome back to General Chemistry. This video is going to serve as your introduction to units of measurement. So units of measurement, we are in a science course, so we are going to use the standard international units or SI units. A lot of these will look very metric-y to you, but it's just the standard international units for measurement. So for length, our standard international unit is the meter. We are going to introduce the metric system in just a moment. So those meters will put prefixes and have things like millimeters, centimeters, that sort of thing. But the SI unit for length is a meter. Mass, the SI unit is a kilogram. In the chemistry lab, we don't often use kilogram because that would be very wasteful. So you will see grams used very often this semester. But the SI unit is the kilogram, or gram is probably what we'll use most often. Time, this one you don't have to worry about, but time is going to be in seconds, so we're used to that one. The SI unit for temperature is actually Kelvin. So Kelvin is a scale that is built on having no negative numbers, so that's helpful. So we will use Kelvin scales certainly in this semester. We will also use Celsius, degrees Celsius. So those would be the two units of measure or temperature that we use. Electrical current, we're not going to get to that this semester, but it's an amp. And then the amount of substance. Being chemists, we will use the amount of substance in a mole. So there'll be much more on what that is and how to calculate that. But certainly you'll be very familiar with the mole by the time you're done with this course. As I stated before, the metric system uses prefixes. So prefixes are added to the base unit to make the number a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller. The prefixes are really to reel numbers in, make them a little bit more user-friendly as we're mathing with them. So all of these numbers are going to be prefixes that are 10 to a negative number. So these are going to be your smaller numbers. So if we have a base unit, these numbers will make them smaller. So there are three that I do want you guys to be responsible for, and that's my way of saying you have to memorize them. And the three that I want you to be responsible for, or that you have to memorize, or that the conversion will not be on the test, is micro, milli, and centi. So centi, I think, is a pretty straightforward one. So if we measure length, it's typically in centimeters. Milli, this is a very important prefix for us. We've already seen milliliters, and that's something that we'll use throughout the duration of this course. And then I think micro is also an important one to learn. So if this is just a real world practical application, if you are looking at like dosage of medications, sometimes they are dosed in micrograms. So things like vitamin D, Synthroid, your thyroid medications are micrograms. Working in a pharmacy as I was going through school, I can't tell you how many lives we saved in the pharmacy when a doctor would write for 100 milligrams of Synthroid, and we're like, that might kill the patient. I think you meant 100 micrograms. So I just think it's a real world application. You need to know the difference between milli and micro. It may save a loved one day. We also have prefixes that, so you have your base unit, these are bigger than 1. So these are positive exponents. Again, the one I want you guys to be familiar with is kilo. So we've already seen kilograms. Obviously, that's one we're going to use this semester. And then when we get to one of the last chapters with thermochemistry, we'll talk about kilojoules. So adding that prefix 10 to the third is an important prefix that we'll use throughout the course of this semester. And then the last thing I want to show you guys is temperature conversions. So we will be using Celsius, we will be using Kelvin. Fahrenheit is a thing of the past. So it's important that we can calculate these values. Here you'll see a conversion for temperature Fahrenheit from Celsius. So if I had a temperature measurement in Celsius, I would throw it right here, multiply by 1.8 and add 32, and that would spit out temperature in Fahrenheit. Here we've got the other way, so Fahrenheit to Celsius. So if we do take a measurement in Fahrenheit and we want to convert that to Celsius, so it applies to chemistry, again, we would just take our temperature Fahrenheit, plug it in here, and it would spit out Celsius. And then lastly, we'll do this quite often, going between Celsius and Kelvin. That's the easiest of all the conversions. You just simply add 273. So you've got your temperature Celsius here, add 273, and that'll get you to Kelvin. Okay, so these are conversions that will be given to you, but it's very important that you guys know how to use them because you will be converting from one unit to another for these temperatures. That's really it for your introduction to units. We'll talk more about converting from one unit to another in the next video. I hope you guys found this helpful.